I'm coming on here today, man. I'm gonna drop a little bit of game. You know what I mean? I'm gonna drop some jewels today. I'm gonna drop a couple of jewels. In this world that we live in, fam, we gonna come. It's gonna be a whole bunch of drama gonna come your way, and it's gonna be a lot of stuff that comes your way you can't control. You cannot control. And those things that come your way and you can't control them, you need to ignore it. I'm going to say it again. You got to ignore what you can't have. Does that make sense? See, when you ignore what you can't have, it ain't going to bother you. But when you go to paying attention to something you cannot have, then you spinning your wheels. You basically living in the past. You gotta learn to move forward in life when you can't have something. You know what I mean? Because see, you'll get fixated with what you want, and it don't never happen, and you'll stay fixated on that. And all the time that you staying fixated on something that ain't gonna happen for you, you spinning your wheels. So that's why it's so important for you to ignore what you can't have. You may be involved in a relationship. Now you know that the person that you are involved with ain't right, ain't gonna never be right. So it's gonna come a time in your life that you're gonna have to ignore what you can't have. You gonna have to take 2 steps back away from folks. And in that, you gonna have to ignore that. Ignore what you can't have. Man, anytime you go to paying attention to something you can't have, what do you think that's doing for you? That ain't doing nothing for you. Nah. That ain't doing nothing for you when you paying attention to something you cannot have. Yeah. When you spinning your wheels in something you cannot have. The more you spin your wheels in something you can't have, you spinning your wheels. You got to ignore what you can't have. When you can't, if it's a relationship that you know that cannot happen, you need to ignore that. If it's a job that you didn't get, you wanted to get it and you didn't get it, then you need to ignore that and move forward. Go to looking for another job. You understand what I'm saying? You got to, at the same time, you got to ignore what you can't have. If you don't ignore what you can't have, you're going to fall back into doing some dumb shit. Real time. When you don't ignore what you can't have, what do you think that look like to you? How you think that look to you? You paying attention to something you can't have. You paying attention. You spending your time, your money, your effort into getting something you can't have. Man, that's stressful on you. That is stressful on. Get down. Get off me. All right, what? You got to ignore what you can't have. Real talk. What's wrong with you? Come on, man. My dog, she tripping. She tripping. I real talk. My dog is a loving narcissist. For real. She want her way. She gonna act crazy to get her way. Well, anyway. But now, real talk. Back to the subject at hand. When you come to the realization, fam, that you can't have something, it's not going to be possible, you need to ignore that. Yeah. You need to, truly ignore it. For real. If it's a relationship, if it's a job, if it's a whatever that is, you need to ignore that and move forward in life, whatever that is. If you messed up, you still need to ignore that, forgive yourself, and keep it moving. Because the longer you stay into paying attention to something you can't have, you spinning your wheels for you. You the one suffering, for real. When you pay attention to people, and you know you can't have them, no matter how hard you want them, and you know for a fact that it ain't gonna happen, you need to ignore that and leave that be. And start moving forward in life, for real. Real talk. Hey, listen. What's up with you, man? When I got locked up, I started ignoring, listen to me now, I started ignoring freedom. You understand what I'm saying? I started ignoring freedom. I started to keep my mind out of the world and paid attention to where I was at. Because where I was at kept me sane, and it kept me reading. It kept me reading. It kept me studying. It kept me, you know what I mean? My mind, when I was locked up, my mind wasn't in the world. My mind wasn't in the streets, so to say. My mind was where I was at, preparing to go back to the streets. So I ignored the streets altogether, period. I didn't care about what was going on in the streets. I was in prison. Because the more I cared about what was going on in the streets, it only brought back grief to me because I couldn't be out there in it. I made a mistake and landed in prison. So for every action, there's a reaction. And that reaction was I had to spend 14 years in federal prison. But in that 14 years, I had to ignore what was going on in the streets. So it kept me to a point where I got to ignore what I couldn't control, if that makes sense. Like I tell you before, 85% of the stuff that goes on around you, fam, you ain't got no control over it. You only got 15%. Your thoughts, your actions, your assumptions, managing your emotions. You ain't even got control over your emotions. You need to manage them. Some people got good control over them, but but if you ain't got no control over nothing outside. So that's where it was when I was in prison. I knew that I couldn't control nothing out in the free world while I was in prison. I knew that. If thank God she didn't. But before my mom's passed, that was my prayer. Like, man, because my mama was the only one that stood through me through them whole 14 years. She was there. So, boy, you got me emotional talking about my mama now. But nah, real talk. You gotta ignore what you can't have. And when you start to ignore what you can't have, you can deal with whatever you got going on in front of you. Real time. You gotta certain situations, because see, anytime you don't ignore what you can't have, then you ain't doing nothing but living in the past. For real. When you go to living in the past, I'm telling you, when you go to living in the past and not living in the present, everybody tell you about living in the present moment. That's important. It is important. It's very important. But when you go to living in the past, trying to wish something to go your way, and it ain't gonna go your way, no way possible. But all your thought processes is in the past. Then I'm telling you, that brings on stress. That brings on anxiety. That brings on heart problems. That brings on, because you are spending time in the past. Something you can't control. You can't control. You can't magically make something your way, no matter how hard you think about it. You need to be paying attention to the present moment, for real. You can't stay stuck in the past thinking about something that ain't gonna go your way. No way possible it's gonna go your way. You know that. You know it to be a fact, but you can't get that fact off your mind. So what you need to do is you need to start ignoring something. Learning how to ignore something. For real. A lot of us don't even know how to ignore. A period. Yeah. You don't know how to stay silent. You don't know how to address. You don't know how to. You got to respond to everything. You ain't got to respond to everything. You can always shut your mouth and stay silent and live in your own world. Take care of your 15%. Because remember, you hear me say this 100 times 100. It is only 24 hours in a day. It's just 24 hours in one day. 8 of them hours you got to sleep, fam. You got to sleep. 8 of them hours you need to work. Because if you don't work, you don't eat. Real talk. And then you only got 8 hours to get your goals accomplished. Your leisure time. So you got 8 due to sleeping, 8 due to working, and 8 is your leisure time. And the only time you can get a goal accomplished. The only time, listen to me. The only time you can get a goal accomplished is in that 8 hours. That's it. You got 8 hours to spend with your loved ones. And some of us out there that's working 14 and 15, 12 and 14 hours a day. You only got like 4 hours of leisure time of getting your goals accomplished. Think about that for a second, man. For real. You only got, and think about it. You spending time in the past, in that 8 hours, you ain't getting no goals accomplished. Nah, that ain't player. That ain't player. Hey, you gotta learn how to live in the present moment. You gotta learn how to focus on. Period. You just gotta learn how to focus. That be the problem. That be the problem. It be so much going on around you that you can't focus on one thing. You focusing at work. You got to focus at work, because if you don't focus at work, you ain't going to eat. So you got to focus at work. So in that 8 hours that you got to get your goals accomplished, you need to focus on that more than you focusing on your work. You need to focus on getting your goals accomplished more than you focusing on feeding yourself. Real talk. Because, see, you can get your goals accomplished, and getting your goals accomplished is going to feed you. Now, you can get income coming in, residual income coming in, and now that 8 hours is working for yourself. But you got to find time to think that out. You can't find time thinking something out if you paying attention to something you can't have. You paying attention to something you can't have. You spinning your wheels. And anytime you go to spinning your wheels, you know that mess with your mental, fam. For real. Us folks just getting old, you know, you still gotta work out your mind. Just like you work out your body to stay healthy, you gotta work your mind out. Yeah, real talk. Your mind can't be constantly in foolishness, constantly in a sea of toxicity, and think that in your later years you gonna be functioning right. See, in order for you to live okay in your later years, you got to be able to know how to manage your emotions. If you don't know how to manage your emotions now, how you think you're going to be able to manage them in your later years? For real. Why, I mean, and I'm being real here. Why do you think predators prey on older folks? Because they know that they know that them older folks are acceptable or getting got because what? They gullible. If you don't practice now your mind, I'm being honest with you. I'm telling you some real. If you don't practice your mind staying in shape like you do your body, in your later years, you're going to start forgetting stuff, fam. You're going to start forgetting stuff. That's why it's so important to read on a regular basis. Yeah. Play chess. Do something that got you thinking other than toxicity. You see, toxicity going to kill you. Yeah. Because you think you can have something you can't have. You think you can control something you can't control. When you start thinking like that, oh man, you falling short of the glory. That's why it's so important to ignore what you can't have. When you start ignoring what you can't have and paying attention to what you can have, what you can create, I mean, you're going to go somewhere. Yeah, real talk. You're going to go somewhere. But all the time that you spending trying to make something right that ain't gonna never be right, sometimes you got to let stuff go. Sometimes you got to nip it at the bud. Like, man, you know what? This ain't gonna work. I need to come to the realization this ain't gonna work, and I need to move forward. Yeah, that's how life going. But all the while that you sitting back trying to make it work, oh man, you hit like good. You hit like good. Yeah, real time. Every time you trying to make something right and you know you can't make it right, you spinning your wheels, you paying attention to the 85%, something you can't control. You can only, let me tell you something. The only thing you can control is your thoughts, your actions, your assumptions, and learn how to manage your emotions. Because you can't control your emotions. Yeah, you can't control them. You can manage them. Yeah, you can manage them. You know, but you can't control them. And but at the same time, managing it is gonna make you great and better. But all the time you go to thinking with your emotions, acting with your emotions, you hit like what? Good what? When you start letting your emotions run your relationships, run your job, run your life, you know, when you start to let your emotions run things, you know you living with your ego. You know your ego? That's your ego. Yeah. You ride your ego you just leading the way. leading your ass into dumbness. Hey, man, listen to me. I'm telling you, your ego is not your amigo. Stop thinking your ego is your amigo. Your ego ain't your amigo. Yeah. No. That entitlement you be feeling, like someone owe you something, that is not your friend. And when you go to thinking with your emotions and thinking that you entitled to some things that you're not, yeah, for real. In the long run, that is not gonna be your friend. Your ego is not gonna come and save the day for you. It's just not. It's gonna have you thinking that you bigger than what you really is. It's gonna have you thinking that you entitled to something that you ain't entitled to. It's gonna have you thinking that you smarter than you really is. Yeah. Your ego had your ass looking like a cold dum-dum. Your ego will have you looking like a cold dum-dum and got you feeling like you on top of the world. But you really making a fool of yourself. That's why it is so important for you not to be making a decision with your emotions. If you gonna make a decision, you need to be making the decision with facts and logic. If you ain't making a decision with facts and logic, then you tripping. You making a decision with your emotion. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Real time. Don't make decisions with your emotions. Make decisions with facts and logic. You know what I'm saying? And then don't double down on something because you don't want to admit that your ass is wrong. See, that's your ego for you. See, your ego will have you not admitting just because you don't want to admit that you wrong, you gonna double down on your asshole. And now you really looking like a dum-dum, for real. To some. You looking, but your ego got you thinking you on some shit. And then when people stop wanting to fool with you, then you go to realize and they no, that ain't me. Nah, it is you. You letting your ego lead the way. You know what I mean? See, when you let your ego lead the way, you want validation. You want everything for yourself. You want to be treated like a king and your ass ain't did nothing. You want everybody to treat you like you a king, but you ain't did nothing. You ain't did a thing. You just sitting there, they should be treating me like I'm royalty. Why? Why are they treating you like you're royalty? What you done did to be treated like you royalty? I mean, have you saved the people? Or you a capitalist or something? You giving folks jobs or something? You putting people through college or something? Why should they be looking up to you? Huh? What you doing? What? See, anytime that you searching and dealing with your emotions, letting your emotions lead the way with you, see, your emotions will have you believe in some dumbness. For real. Because, see, my grandmama used to tell me something. She said, baby, just because they talk good, that don't mean they good. Just because I can say some shit that'll make you get emotional, that don't mean that I'm a good individual. You understand what I'm saying? So you got to be aware of that. Just because they talk good, that don't mean they good. But see, if somebody can talk good, that means that you are making decisions with your emotions. Because they done told you something that done made you feel some type of way, and now you agreed with them. That's because you don't know how to manage your emotions. Yeah, think about it now. That ain't real talk. When you find somebody that's, I'm just madly in love with them. I'm madly in love with them. I drink their bath water. You do what? You drink somebody bath for what? You don't know. So when I ask you why you in love, well, I don't know. I just don't know. Oh, y'all, you don't know why you in love. You don't know how to manage your emotions, man. Because you shouldn't be falling in love with somebody and don't know why. Nah, you can't do that. You thinking with your emotions. You got to grow up. And a lot of times, a lot of us will be emotionally immature. And your ass will be 50, 60, 70, 80. And see, to be emotionally immature ain't got no age on it. You can be a lawyer, doctor, engineer. It don't matter. You can still be emotionally immature. See, when you're emotionally immature and you're a doctor, lawyer, engineer, or anything else, and you still thinking with your emotions, you still thinking like a child. You're not making decisions with facts and logic. You're making decisions with your emotions. So that's why it's so important to get your emotions in check so you can start ignoring what you can't have. Because a lot of us will be delusional thinking. You know what delusional thinking is you think something is the way it is, and it ain't nothing like that. You know, for real. It ain't nothing like that. I'm gonna tell you a prime example. When I was locked up, you had dudes that was delusional thinking. Like we'll go to the nurse or whatever, and just because the nurse was nice to everybody, he thinks that the nurse likes him. Oh, she liked me. I know she liked me. The way she looked at me, bro, that nurse do not like you. She's nice. She did the same thing with me. She do not like you. She's just a nice person. Oh, they like me. Delusional thinking. We have delusional thinking. What, Lou? You got a potty? Come on, Lou. Come on, hold on. My dog got a potty. She sit tripping like a mother. Nah, they'll be delusional thinking on you. Yeah. So that's when you gotta manage your emotions, man. You can't be delusional thinking. See, if you delusional thinking while you're young, you gonna be extra delusional thinking when you old. Hey, go potty. Hey, you done brought me out here, dog. Go on, go potty. Potty. Go on, man. I'm gonna kick you. Go potty. Yeah, for real. You go to delusional thinking, and delusional thinking is paying attention to something. Like I did this whole thing. Ignore what you can't have. You'll be delusional thinking when you start to pay attention to something you know you can't have. That's delusional thinking. No matter how you want to look at it, when you know for a fact that this is not going to go your way, you know that. But you still paying attention to that? You still believing in your heart that one day they going to come back to you? No. You delusional thinking. If you messed it up and you think it's going to come back to you, and they don't realize what time it is, they ain't going to come back to you. You need to stop thinking about it. You finished? You finished? All right, come on in. Yeah. Real time. Yeah, you go to delusional thinking that you thinking that something is gonna go your way, and you know for a fact that it ain't gonna go your way. But you still paying attention to that. You living in the past. You living in the bad. Get out of the delusion. Get out of the delusion. When you know for a fact that something is not going to go your way, you know it. Evidence is there. Facts are there. Logic is there. You know this is it. Stop paying attention to it. Let it go. The power of walking away. Yeah, real talk. I'm serious. When you know it, it's a difference between not knowing and knowing. You understand what I'm saying? And I ain't telling you to do what I say do and you don't know. But when you know, no. You need to ignore